back. Now, royal insiders are said to be furious about the latest claims made by Prince Harry and Meghan's biographer.
Omid Scobie has shared an extract of his new book, Endgame, making claims that Prince Harry was kept in the dark about the Queen's health in the hours before she died.
The book also says there may be no going back for the brothers. It claims William sees Harry as a, quote, defector.
Well, GBNews royal correspondent Cameron Walker joins us now. Cameron, another interesting book from him then. Do you think the Duke and Duchess of Sussex gave tacit approval, let's say, for this book?
We can't be absolutely sure. What we can do is look back at Omid Scobie's previous work, which is Finding Freedom, which he co-authored, a biography of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Now, initially, in legal documents, lawyers for Duchess of Sussex denied that she had had any involvement with that particular book. And then in 2021, she apologised to the High Court in London for forgetting that she briefed an aide, Jason Knauf, the former Communications Secretary of Meghan and Harry at Kensington Palace, to collaborate essentially with both Omid Scobie and the other author, Caroline Durand, I think it was. So if you take that as a kind of a basis of what Omid potentially could do, it would suggest that perhaps he has very good sources for this book, but we don't know for sure.
Interesting what they'll say in public versus what they'll say under oath in court. What does this mean, therefore, this latest revelation, particularly around the days and hours before the late Queen's passing? What have we learned?
Well, I think a lot of this information was already in the public domain. I think what's interesting to me is how it perhaps contradicts certain versions of events. So, for example, in Prince Harry's memoir Spare, where he talks about the day the Queen died, he says he received a phone call from his father in the afternoon to say that you need to make your way to Balmoral. Remember that Buckingham Palace released that first statement saying that docs were concerned with the Queen's health at 12:32. In Omid Scobie's version of events, and actually, to be honest, a lot of the media reports at the time, Harry was contacted in the morning, very early in the morning, before his father travelled from Dumfries House in Ayrshire via helicopter to be at Balmoral bedside of Queen Elizabeth II. In the book, in the extracts which has been released of Omid Scobie's book, it talks about Prince Harry being left in the dark about plans for the Queen's death and the fact that no one invited him to be on the private jet which took other members of the royal family, including Prince William, up to Aberdeen. Prince William not answering texts from Prince Harry, which we'd heard all before in his memoir Spare. But Tom Bower's book, which is another royal biography, explain or alleges the reason why Prince Harry was not on that plane with the other royals was because he was essentially very upset that then Prince Charles banned Meghan from coming up to Balmoral. And there was a bit of toing and throwing, refusing to get on the jet, essentially. And then Prince William's the most senior member of the royal family on that plane, ordered the plane to take off without Harry to fly up to Scotland because they wanted to get there in time for the Queen's death. Very sadly, none of them made it in time. The Queen died at 3:10 in the afternoon. That's Tom Bower's version of events. Omid Scobie's version, very different. Of course, we don't know the full truth.
Cameron, how close to that 3:20 did you say, did that plane load of royals arrive? I.e., if Harry hadn't allegedly held that plane up on the tarmac, might they have got there in time?
I don't think we can say, to be honest. So they were in the air when the Queen died, and their plane landed, I think it was just after 3:30. Prince Harry, interestingly, in Omid Scobie's book, it alleges, similar to what Harry's memoir said, that Harry learns of the Queen's death via a BBC News notification. Now, what Omid Scobie's extract reveals or alleges is that there was a huge fight between Prince Harry's team and Buckingham Palace on that day because they knew Prince Harry was in the air on a chartered jet from Luton to try to get to Aberdeen, and they were trying to stop the palace from releasing the statement announcing the Queen's death at 6:30 until Harry landed so he could be told by his father before the world knew. As it turns out, the palace had decided to go with it, according to Omid Scobie.
And relations between the two brothers from what we can gather in this book, relations are still very much, well, in the gutter.
It looks like it. We have to remember when the Queen died, Spare hadn't been released, neither had the Netflix series, but it just shows, I think, that there's been no change when it comes to Prince Harry and Prince William's relationship. Kensington Palace absolutely not commenting on this extract, neither is Archewell or Buckingham Palace either, but I think it's safe to say they're not talking, but I do know for a fact that Prince Harry and Meghan both spoke to the King on his birthday. A source has confirmed that to me, which suggests to me that there's a bit of an olive branch going on with Prince Harry and Meghan, with the King at least, in terms of mending that relationship, but this book is not going to help.